Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to the California Farm to ECE Community of Practice webinar. We're so glad that you took the time to join us today. I will start us off going into some introductions with the three departments that we are representing today. We have Amy Garfinkel from the Department of Food and Agriculture, and also Sophia from Department of Food and Ag. We also have Monet Parham Lee from Department of Public Health. And on the next slide, we have myself, Madison Falens, and Julie Chesson at the California Department of Social Services. And on the next slide, we'll dive into an icebreaker to get to know who is on the call today. And then we'll dive into the content. So I'll pass it off to Amy.
Thanks, Maddie. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Amy, and we're just so excited to meet you and get to know you a little bit before we dive into the call today. So if you're up for it, we would love if you could share in the chat your name, your organization, your role, and then we're just so thrilled that you're all here, and we're so excited to spend the next hour together. So if you're up for sharing, we would love to hear what inspired you or motivated you to join today's Community of Practice call. And we'll give a couple minutes as everyone shares their thoughts. So thanks for joining. I don't see anything. Oh my gosh, first one in the chat. Hi, Jen. Thanks so much for joining us. Jen's part of the CDFA Farm to School team, here to learn more about supporting ECEs as they implement farm to school programming. Awesome. Hi, Thao. Thank you so much for joining. CalFresh Healthy Living Program. Awesome. So cool. That sounds amazing. Welcome, Diana. Here to learn more about the program. Awesome. Hi, Linda. Oh, so wonderful. Works with Monet. That's awesome. Here to learn more about Farm to ECE. Great. Well, we hope we can do that today. We're excited to have really exciting presenters and some topics about Farm to ECE. Hi, Cindy and Catherine and Courtney. Oh, this is so nice. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Hi, Cindy. Awesome. Okay, please continue to share in the chat. This is so exciting to see this amazing community of people here. And I'm going to pass it to, actually forget who's next. Let's see. Passing it back to Maddie. Or no, sorry, passing it to Monet.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. And welcome again. Thank you so much for joining. I just briefly want to say how much we appreciate you all joining. We want to expand the conversation around Farm to ECE, and I briefly will share that here at CDPH, we have two programs that we operate that touch on Farm to ECE. Those are CalFresh Healthy Living. Welcome to all of you who joined today, as well as our state physical activity and nutrition program. Two federally funded programs, but both that touch on Farm to ECE in different ways. Next slide, please. As a part of our SPAN program, our first cycle last year that really focused in any way on Farm to ECE resulted in a few special projects. One came out of Sacramento, courtesy of the health department there, as well as the Del Paso Heights Growers Association. They came up with a video that they used to work with childcare providers here in Sacramento, focused on container gardening, as well as verma or worm composting. The video is on YouTube. There is a materials list that goes along with the video that's sort of embedded as a part of it, but also if you email me and you want sort of a standalone PDF copy, I can send that to you as well. I want to emphasize too that Though the video is in English, there are two additional versions. One is in Farsi, one offers Farsi subtitles, and one offers Spanish language subtitles. Next slide. So once you gain access to the video, you'll see it goes very specifically through the steps that are involved with creating a wicking bed for container gardening, sort of step-by-step live video. Next slide. And then the second part of the video addresses how to create a worm bin for composting. And there are also suggestions in the video about how to use these activities to educate the students, but also to foster a garden in whatever size space that you may have. Next slide. Cute little quick picture of students enjoying taking a look at the worm bed. There are so many layers of what you can do with the children, both with both activities that are part of the video. So I encourage you to take a look. And again, if you're sharing this with others, let them know that if they're Spanish speaking or Farsi speaking, those are available as well. Thank you so much. Passing it on to Maddie and Julie.
Thanks, Monet, and welcome everyone. My name is Julie Chesson, as Maddie had mentioned earlier. I'm with the California Department of Social Services, and so I'd like to provide a few updates. So the Department of Social Services has an initiative called the Farm to Child and Adult Care Food Program, otherwise known as Farm to CACFP. And Farm to Early Child Care Education, or Farm to ECE, is a subcategory of this initiative. And so our team provides technical assistance, resources, and training to our CACFP operators related to this initiative. And our team, we would love to highlight all of the amazing work that you are doing surrounding Farm to CACFP. We would love to hear your success stories and see your pictures. So please email us so that your agency can be highlighted in upcoming publications. And any questions you may have, feel free to reach out to our Farm to CACFP team, which we will drop the email address as well as the webpage into the chat. Next slide, please. So we are really excited to announce that the Department of Social Services CACFP branch was recently awarded the FarmWise Learning Collaborative opportunity. This opportunity is hosted by the Association of State Public Health Nutritionists in collaboration with the USDA, as well as the National Farm to School Network and the National CACFP Sponsors Association. The goal of this learning collaborative is to provide state agencies such as us in California with technical assistance, resources, and networking opportunities to help assist in advancing our Farm to CACFP initiative. And we are currently in the process of building our coalition with internal and external partners, community members, and food system partners in an effort to collectively support the work that you are currently doing and beyond. And here, we would like to debut our California Farm to CACFP logo, which is in the lower right-hand corner of this slide. You will begin to see this logo more as we continue developing resources and materials to support you in your Farm to CACFP initiative. Again, if you have any questions about Farm to CACFP or the FarmWise work, feel free to reach out to our team and we will drop the email address into the chat. Next slide, please. And finally, we would like to highlight our Preschool Shine initiative. This is a voluntary recognition program for CACFP child care centers and daycare homes who support the health and well-being of children. And one key element of Preschool Shine is the Farm to CACFP participation. We encourage you all to check out the initiative and to apply to become recognized. Some of the benefits of becoming a Shine site is that you receive a certificate of recognition to post at your site, and your agency name will be listed on the social services website. If you have any questions, again, please feel free to reach out to our team and we will drop the webpage and contact information in the chat for you. Thank you so much. And I will now pass it off to Sophia and Amy.
Thank you, Julie. Amy and I just wanted to share some of the Farm to ECE work that's happening at the California Department of Food and Agriculture. We have statewide supports as well as regional supports. As far as our statewide supports, we have our quarterly Farm to School Community of Practice call, which is happening tomorrow, if you would like to join that. But of course, you're here today at our Farm to ECE Community of Practice call, so we're happy to see you here. We also have a monthly e-newsletter where we share opportunities and events and celebrations around the state within Farm to School, as well as our Instagram and a conference that we host every other year to bring together our Farm to School partners. If you want to explore our website or sign up for our newsletter, you can click on the link below, and we'll be sharing these slides after the call, so you'll have access to all these links. Okay, next slide. As far as our regional supports, we have regional teams in each of the 8 regions that we carved the state into, and our regional teams help support our Farm to School and Farm to ECE grantees. The grant I'll talk about in the next slide, as well as really anyone that's doing or is interested in Farm to ECE in the state. So if you want help starting up a program, if you're looking to expand, if you're looking for someone to just, brainstorm with and talk to, look for connections, our regional team is here to help you. We also are there to help build networks so that we can connect with others doing similar work. And we also do a lot of hands-on matchmaking with producers to help you find producers that are appropriate for your interests and needs and scale. So if you go to our, you can email us to be connected, or you can go to our website to find our contacts for our regional teams. Next slide. And then our incubator grant program, our 2023 grantees will be announced soon. We do have a Farm to ECE track that supports support organizations that work with ECE sites, as well as a track for ECE centers. The grant application is closed, but if you did apply, we'll be announcing in the next couple of months. Next slide. And if you weren't able to apply this round, we just wanted to share a few other funding options for Farm to ECE programs. Things like in-kind donations from nurseries and stores like Home Depot, Lowe's, and Walmart are very common. For gardening programs and nutrition programs, CACFP funds can also be used for garden-related expenses and to reimburse produce served from the garden, as long as it's used as part of a reimbursable meal or for nutrition education. And foundation funding and fundraisers are also an option. I provided some links here of some comprehensive garden grant lists that other organizations have created. And as well as, I would encourage you to explore the School Garden Support Organization's Funding School Gardens Guide, where they collate best practices for funding school gardens from across the country, many of which are applicable for Farm to ECE programs as well. Right, next slide. And I will now pass it over to our first presenter, Karen.
Oh, starting with me, I'll do a quick introduction. Thank you so much, Sophia. I want to welcome 2 presenters. I'll introduce them both now, and you'll hear from Karen first. Karen Apilar is an early childhood educator with over 30 years of successful experience teaching at the preschool, elementary, and high school levels. Her current experience as a director of early childhood education at St. Bernard's Catholic Preschool in the Tracy area allows her to coach and mentor young men and women interested in the education field, as well as it gives her knowledge of the day-to-day activities in child care centers. She's recognized consistently for performance and excellence, and her contributions to the success of the early childhood field. Karen will be up first, followed by Dominique McQuarters. Dominique is the director of Adorably a Part of Me and the founder of Fame School. She's an advocate for children and has over 20 years of experience in the childcare field. She's passionate about teaching, and she loves encouraging families to adopt fresh meals and healthier options. And Dominique operates in the Los Angeles area. Thank you so much, Karen, and take it away.
Thank you, Monet. Good afternoon, everyone. We could probably skip to the next slide since Monet went on to that one. The next slide is just some of the resources that I've used for my presentation today. We're going to go over incubators in the classroom. So this is one of the websites that we use. There's Chicken Themes on Teachers Pay Teachers is a good website to go to find resources also. You can go to the next slide. So have you ever incubated chicken eggs in a classroom? Hatching eggs in the classroom is the perfect way to bring the life cycle concept to all of your students. But it's not a simple project, so you have to consider the unique learning experience, responsibilities, and the excitement of observing the hatching process up close. So it's a long process that can last 3 to 4 weeks in the classroom. And I'll show you later on in the slides some things to help keep the students engaged and the excitement building as the time gets closer. You can go to the next slide, please. So before you get started, some things to think about is finding someone to adopt the chicks, because when you are done with them, you need to figure out where you're going to place them. If a teacher or family within the school is happy to take them home when they're all ready to go, or if you can find a local farmer. So that is my number one thing when my staff likes to do this. And today I'm going to show you a couple different incubators, and then specifically focus on building your own incubator. And then you'll need to find some fertile eggs, which you can find through a local farmer, or buy them off of Amazon is always a good place too. A brooder, which is the safe heat after the chicks are born, and food for the new babies. Next slide. So these are just a couple pictures of a few different types of incubators, a small one, a large one, the homemade one, and then of course the natural way with the mama hen. You can go to the next one, please. So we've done the DIY chicken egg incubators mostly in the school that I'm at. A teacher brought this to my attention about 10 years ago, and it's a really fun project to do. You can get it set up with the students, and then you can explore all the fascinating process and watch the chicken eggs from the beginning. And like I said, it helps engage the students. It gets them to have some hands-on learning. And again, we're going to look at their life cycles. You have to look at the temperature control and then how to create them for hatching. Next slide, please. This is just a picture of one that's done with the eggs in it. If you notice, there's a thermometer. There's a cup which will have the water for moisture, and then there's also a thermometer in there to help keep the moisture, because you have to keep everything balanced for the eggs as they're incubating. So that's something the students can do every day, is keep track of that. And it's fairly easy to keep that maintained. There is a light in the very top that helps keep the heat going in the incubator. Next slide, please. So this is just a list of some things that to make your own incubator. You can, again, buy the supplies off of Amazon, or with me, I bought all the supplies from Walmart when the teachers decided they wanted to do this. And then we just keep reusing everything every year. The only thing we replace is the styrofoam cooler. And then if I have to update the light, and then I buy a new picture frame every year. And you can go to the next slide, please. So setting up the incubator, like I said, it's crucial to keep the temperature. This is actually a picture of one of the incubators from a classroom at my school. And you can see you can place quite a few eggs in there. We do have the water with the marbles, and that's so after the chickens are born, they like to jump around, and when they jump in there, they're not getting submerged in the water. And then the one thing that is a little hard with your own incubator instead of one that you buy is turning the eggs, because the eggs have to be turned twice a day for a certain amount of time, and then once a day up until they start hatching. If you buy the incubators off of Amazon, they do it for you. And we do have that now too, because our teacher who loved to come in and turn the eggs moved out of town, and it was too hard for her to come and do that over the weekend. So this is just a picture, like I said, and one egg has been hatched in that picture. You can go to the next slide, please. So by doing an egg incubation in the class with your students, you're learning about biology, the life cycle in a very unique way. The students get to witness this firsthand. And again, this picture is of our actual incubator from our classroom. And then they get to foster the curiosity and responsibility of everyone. So it's nice because the chicks will come up to the window and the kids will sit there and they get to learn, how to be quiet and patient around the incubator. So it makes it nice to have it in the classroom. It's probably one of the quietest time of the year too, once the eggs start hatching for the kiddos. Yeah. Next slide, please. So a couple things to keep the kids busy is the hatching countdown, because it is a 21-day process. So keeping them on task with, the paper that you see in the picture, where they get to color each day and they get to see, and as they get closer to having the whole page filled in, the excitement starts to grow. So if you start this from the first day, it helps them understand the process a little bit more. And then also journaling during the hatching process and after also, it's nice to hone in on the skill of making observations, and students will use their interactive science journals to draw and write about their observation. Next slide, please. This is also a fun little thing about the life cycle that they can just play with. Just another idea to help advance the learning process and give them more understanding of what they're seeing. Next slide, please. And here are all of our little chickens hatched. This is actually pictures of the chickens from the classroom. And they had 4 successful egg hatches, and the students do know that sometimes they don't always hatch. That's a conversation you have to have with them also, which helps. So that's just a picture. This is just a plain plastic bucket. You see their food and water source, and then there is a light that's on top to keep them warm. Next page. And then this is a picture of one of our adopted homes. So as you can see, they go to a nice home. This one, I love this picture because of the Great Dane sitting in the picture with the family, and these chickens have grown to be very healthy and successful. All right, thank you.
Thanks so much, Karen. It's so nice to see just the variety of things that you can do within the Farm to ECE umbrella. Fruits, vegetables, chickens, eggs, all kinds of things. And for those of you in the audience, we're going to hold questions to the end. And next up, we're going to hear from Dominique out of Los Angeles. Take it away, Dominique.
Hi, everybody. Hope you guys had an amazing day today. Okay, so we're going to go into basically the curriculum aspects of this and kind of tying everything all together, and kind of getting, curriculum and learning activities for your students while doing this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to the next slide. Please forgive me because I have to, y'all see I have my glasses on, so kind of can't see. Okay, so curriculum into gardening. So using curriculum for fun gardening education. The importance of gardening education. Gardening education is important as it teaches children about nature, food sources, and the environment. It helps them develop a deeper understanding and appreciation for the natural world. Incorporating gardening into curriculum by integrating gardening activities into various subjects like science, math, and art, education can make learning more engaging and relevant, for children. For example, in science, children can learn about plant life cycle and photosynthesis through hands-on gardening experiences. Next slide, please. Benefits of fun gardening. Benefits of fun gardening education. Fun gardening education engages children in hands-on learning. It promotes curiosity and fosters a love for nature. It also helps develop important skills such as problem solving, teamwork, and responsibility. Next slide, please. So some fun activities for daycares, as well as preschools. Fun activities for daycare, incorporating colors and numbers into gardening. So the activity is colorful planting. Objective is teaching children about colors and encouraging creativity. Materials that you will need are various flowers or vegetable seeds, pots, soil, watering cans, and markers. The steps you will take is number one, you'll introduce different colors to the children and explain how flowers and vegetables come in various colors. Two, provide each child with a pot and let them choose their favorite seeds. Three, encourage them to plant the seeds in the pots and label them with markers. Four, you'll discuss the colors they chose and how they can create color-coded gardens. Next slide, please. Cheap and inexpensive ways to garden. So, cheap and inexpensive ways to purchase gardening materials. Number one, you can seek donations, reach out to local businesses, nurseries, or gardening enthusiasts for donations of seeds, plants, and tools. You can explain your educational goals and how their contributions will benefit the children learning experience. Recycling and repurposing, encouraging children and parents to bring and recycle material that can be used for gardening, such as plastic bottles for planters or old containers for seedings. This promotes sustainability and reduces costs. Community partnerships, collaborate with local gardening organizations or community gardens to share resources and reduce costs. They may offer discounted rates for materials or provide access to shared gardening spaces. Next slide, please. So these are just some pictures with different type of resources that you can utilize, and you could get this system like hydro systems, planners, and different things from that sort just from Amazon. And if you don't have space or things of that sort, then you start off with something really small, like so. You could put it in a small space if you don't have space into your house, or if the space is not as big as you would like it to be. You could just take some of these small resources such as so and start to create small. And then if you're looking for seeds, they have a pack that's shown below that you could get from Amazon, where it has a variety of different seeds and packs that you're able to start off small with and just utilize those to start off. Now, as far as combining all of this with the curriculum, a lot of times we make things seem a lot harder than it may actually be. And as I shared, as far as with the colors and things of that sort, you could just simply tie in. We're going to talk about this particular planner. We're going to talk about tomatoes today. The shape is going to be a circle. The shape of the tomato is a circle. You'll also incorporate colors. The color of a tomato is red, of course, or you could choose green as far as the cycles in which they start off. Then you could go into counting using 2 tomatoes plus another tomato, or 2 green tomatoes plus a red tomato equals 3. So those are just small little examples where we don't have to overcomplicate our curriculum and tie all of those necessary things all together so that we're able to teach the children as well as utilize natural resources, gardening and farming, and just tie all of those things all together and just create a simple yet fun and effective curriculum that's creative and fun, not just for yourself, but for the children as well. And then doing these things also would help them to stay engaged and, you know, have the activities to be fun, and it's something that they'll look forward to doing. So that is it. That's all. I'm not for sure if there's one more slide. I think that's the end. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Oh, Monet, you're muted.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dominique. It's nice to have a reminder about how we can integrate lots of subjects into gardening and get many things done at one time. So next up, we will have a poll before we go into the questions for the presenters, as well as open it up for you all to ask questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Monet. So yes, hopefully you see a poll question on your screen. We're just super excited to hear from you about what you'd like to see in future calls and how we can best support you. So the first question is, are you interested in participating in small breakout groups to learn more from your colleagues in future calls? And there's yes, no, or maybe. And then the second question is, what topic would you like to see addressed at the next Farm to ECE Community Practice call? And we have a few different options. You can kind of look through those, but we also have another option. So if there's anything on here that you are interested in learning more about, but you don't see it reflected in this list, then we welcome you to share in the chat. We'd love to hear any ideas that you have and topics of interest. And then the third and final question is, which stage are you in with your Farm to ECE program? So you might be in the learning, planning, designing, and developing stages. You might be in the midst of implementing your program. You may also be thinking about sustaining your program as you implement. So it could be that you're in a mixture of these stages, but we'd love to hear kind of which one resonates with you. And if multiple ones resonate, we totally welcome you to share in the chat, or if there's anything else you want to add to your answers, we'd love to hear in the chat. Great. Well, I think I see the responses kind of slowing down, so I think we can move to the next slide. And I think I'm passing it back to Maddie.
Thanks, Amy. So I will we'll go into a moderated panel discussion. So we have a few questions for the guest presenters. So I will pass it off to Sophia and Monet to start off those questions.
All right, thank you so much. My first question is, Working in both family childcare and centers, are you implementing Farm to ECE year-round? We'll start with Karen.
Yes, we do. Our curriculum brings up opportunities throughout our school year to focus on Farm to ECE. And then there's specific things that the teachers like to do at certain times of the year. Also like the incubators and butterflies and trying to plan for that.
All right, thank you, Dominique. You're on mute.
I'm sorry.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
it's kind of just incorporated into our curriculum year round. We also have like our little lemon tree and everything that's outside. So that's something that we do on a regular basis, just making sure that we incorporate it so that it's kind of like a way of life for the children and families as well.
All right, thank you so much. My second question is, who are the essential partners that you're working with to get your Farm to ECE activities happening? We'll start with Dominique this time.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, you say, were you gonna go? Oh, okay. So basically I just kind of make like local partners as well as parents, kind of letting them know what we're doing from the start. So as soon as we have enrollment that takes place, then we kind of make the parents aware of some of the things that we do and that the program is incorporated into our center. So we just kind of just let go based off of that. If there's donations that's needed and things of that sort, then we kind of just reach out to our parents and local stores that might be participating or willing. Just anybody that's willing, then that's something that we incorporate and we allow them to do.
And my main contributors are my staff. I usually have at least 4 staff members that work with my 3-year-olds and my 4-year-olds. And they are the ones that get everything started. And we set aside funds every year to accommodate those needs if we need to do money purchase anything. And then again, the families, we always try to involve them in everything we do and be a part of what the students are learning.
And I know that both of you have family childcare experience, and I'm wondering, are there any differences you think in how that looks in terms of partnerships when you're a family childcare provider?
For me, it's slightly different. Because when you're family childcare, the environment is a bit smaller. So I feel like you have more of an intimate relationship with certain parents and just the children and things of that sort. Whereas in a center, things are a lot more bigger, sometimes quicker. So the planning and the implementation may be a little more I don't want to say difficult, because like if you make it or incorporate it, like I said, from the start into your curriculum, then that's just something that you're known for on a regular basis. But I would say slightly challenging. To me, difficult is a little harder, but slightly a little more challenging to incorporate everything, just because the center is bigger, things are faster, things are moving a little more quicker, whereas in a family childcare setting, it's a little more smaller and a little more intimate. So that's just my personal experience. Still, they're both possible to be done. Just the level of difficulty is a little more broader. That's all.
You just have to scale it
Right.
appropriately for a family childcare center, but doable. I like to hear you say doable. That's wonderful. I think that's important for people to hear. It's doable. Karen, did you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I've actually had the experience of both. So I've had my own family childcare where we did do, and like Damo said, it's very intimate and you have just a much smaller group. And the families, they love to come in and spend the day with them. In a childcare center, Sometimes that opportunity doesn't present itself. With me, where I'm at in the type of facility that I'm in, the parents are very involved, and that varies from one center to another. Also, I'm very fortunate to have a good group of families that want to have time to be there and are able to come in when we're needed or to help donate anything that's needed.
All right, thank you so much. I'll send it over to Sophia for a few more questions.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we have time for one more question from us, and then we'll open it up for audience questions. But this is a fun one, maybe starting with Karen. If you could give one tip to a site that's just getting started with Farm to ECE, what would you tell them?
Planning is huge. You have to plan out, like the chicken eggs, it takes 3 to 4 weeks. So you have to make sure that you started at a good time and they're hatching at a good time. So it's not something that you want to start and then you're going to take a break from school. So planning is huge, being able to do it at the right time. Weather is always an option with growing things. Whatever you're celebrating at that time is a good way to plan around, or yeah, so I would say planning and getting the staff excited about the projects.
Great, thank you. And Dominique?
I would say do not overcomplicate it. It doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be tedious. Allow the children to be children. Let them get dirty. Tell their parents don't bring them in their nice stuff. Just don't overcomplicate it. Include it into make a small spot into your curriculum for it. We're going to go outside, do a little planting, a little watering. Children like it, get dirty, yada, yada, yada. Wash your hands, come back in and get to the next step. So don't make it extremely something more difficult than it has to be. Just don't overcomplicate it. And use Amazon.
Okay. Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you both so much. Great advice. But I'll pass it over to Maddie now to see if any of our audience has questions.
Thanks, Sophia. Yeah, so now we have time for live questions. So if you'd like to type a question into the chat for any of us, you can also raise your hand. So if you look at the bottom toolbar under reactions, you can raise your hand there. Looks like Cindy has a question. What are some of the favorite books, activities, or resources that students at your center enjoy? Maybe I'll open it up to Karen.
I would say the hatching the butterflies is one of the favorite activities for the kids. There's lots of resources, there's lots of books, and you can find them in lots of different languages too, and put that in your library so everyone can have a chance to look at it. Invite families in that speak another language to read to the students in that language is always a fun idea also.
Yeah, and that's great. You touched on her second question, accommodating diverse and multilingual learners. That's great. Okay, Damo?
The hungry caterpillar, of course. We did hatching butterflies as well. Amazon, you could get the kit from there. And then that's pretty, like I said, if you have small space and if you trying to do this starting off, it's really inexpensive. And that's something that, they have the little case where you could carry around the butterfly. And then the students enjoy the anticipation of what's next. Like, what's going to happen? What happened to the butterflies? Or even an onion, is it getting bigger? And it's all in how exciting and how, if you're excited, the children will be. So if you're happy about an onion growing into a different shape and changing colors, and you make that enjoyable for the kids, then they're going to enjoy it too. So your approach is very important.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing. It looks like Catherine has a question for sponsors of homes. What is a good number of homes to include? So I'm assuming you're referring to the questions that were, or the answers to the speakers in terms of activities, or feel free to unmute if you want to clarify your question.
Yeah, no, not for the two speakers specifically, but for this farm to ECE. Like if you're trying to start it, what would be a good number of homes to try to get started?
That is a great question. Karen or Domo, do you have any advice with your experience for Catherine?
Go ahead, Damo. I think you have more childcare home experience than I do. You're muted.
I'm sorry. I was like, I'm trying to get off. Basically, it all depends on what you're trying to do for me. If you're trying to do a big project, then you might just want to start off with one, and gradually grow into something more broad with your homes across the board. However, if you're starting off, small, then like I said, just incorporate it into your curriculum. It doesn't have to be extremely big. You could just start off planting some apple seeds or just something really small and just increase anticipation. And that's something, if you're starting a small activity or project, and that's something that you can include across the board with all of your centers. But if it's something more big and broad, then maybe just do a test run and start off small and then gradually incorporate them into the rest of your home facilities. That's my advice.
If I could add to one of the things that we saw with some of our SPAN projects, the CDC funded projects in our last cycle, was that when the health departments were working with homes, they worked with 5 to 7 so that they had a kind of a cohort together that they could learn from each other. They could get assistance from the health department and also have enough to have some lessons learned to share with the kind of expansion that Dominique is talking about. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
That's great advice. Thanks, Monet and Domo. Okay. Any other questions that anyone has? We do have a few more minutes, and we have a couple additional panel questions that we can ask our wonderful speakers. So if no one else has any other questions, we can ask those final 2 questions. So for both of you, how do you engage families and staff in your Farm to ECE activities? Karen, you want to go first?
Yeah, for me, I didn't have to work very hard because my teachers were the ones that brought all the ideas to me and that they had wanted to do it. So I let them run with their ideas and just help support what they wanted to do in the classrooms. And at the beginning of the school year, we'll sit down and we plan all that out so we know when it's coming and what to expect.
And, I'm sorry. And I wanted to show y'all my onion.
Ah.
That is beautiful.
So when I say start off small, it's something as simple as an onion and seeing what happens with it once it gets a little older and how it grows additional onions. So as for me, one of the things that, like I mentioned before, this is something that you include. I mean, listen, this is a way of life for all of us, right? These are things that we need on a regular basis. So it's not really difficult to incorporate it because we're talking about healthy food options, which is something that all of us need and we have to utilize on a daily basis. So as I stated, for me, just from the start, this is a part of our curriculum. This is what we do. We serve these particular options. In doing that, we have fresh lemons from our garden that we utilize from time to time to serve the children lemonade and things of that sort. If you're willing to participate in this, or if this is something that you would like to engage in, then you could do so by doing XYZ. So, something as simple as that. Doesn't have to be overcomplicated. Just gradually include it into your curriculum, into your lesson plans, into things that you do maybe even once on Fridays. We're going to donate or have time to work towards the garden. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated at all.
That's great. Thank you for sharing, Domo and Karen. I love your onion. You should be very proud of that. My tomatoes they're struggling a little bit right now with the heat. Okay, so our last panel question, if you could give one tip to a farm to ECE site getting started, what would you say? Domo, do you want to go first this time?
Amazon. The reason why I keep saying Amazon is because, as you guys know, our schedules are like this. It's from one thing to the next. So if you can utilize that, where you could get those seeds to your door, where you might not have additional time, or where you could get those kits brought to your home so that you could kind of maximize your time a little bit more, then please utilize that. Also, reach out to your local communities, home food, not Whole Foods, Sprouts, different things like that. Some of those have different grants and programs that they will donate to children or different organizations as well. If you want to kind of just become friends with some of the managers and things of that sort, just kind of utilize your community, utilize the resources, utilize Amazon, utilize the people that are here. Also, connect with other providers and engage for additional resources that they might have that you're able to utilize as well. So those are just some small tips. And don't overcomplicate it. That's all.
Start small. Thanks, Domo. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely reach out to all your sources in your community, 4-H groups. It's always fun for them to come right before they have to go to the fair and show. It's a good way to practice showing their animals in front of the kids and talking about it. With me, I have a high school right down the street from me. Their FFA program has animals, and we get to go there every year and see their animals, and it gives the older students an opportunity to interact with their younger ones. Any gardening groups, beekeepers, anything that you can think of to invite into the classroom is a wonderful opportunity for the students and for the people coming in also.
Yeah, that's great advice. Someone also told me that if you're near like a community college or a state college, a lot of kids or students are trying to get volunteer hours. And so that could be some assistance for you labor-wise, watering your plants and coming in and doing a presentation with the kids. So that's great. Okay. If we don't have any other questions, we can close our webinar out. Oh, we do have a few more questions, Cindy. What are some effective strategies for managing picky eaters? That's a great question. Karen or Domo, do you have advice for Cindy?
I would say just positive words, make it sound like it's exciting and fun, and get them really excited about maybe trying it.
Smoothies for me. Sometimes I sneak those vegetables and fruits right onto a delicious smoothie and say, hey, drink this. However, some picky eaters, like if my advice is kind of different with children because I feel like children are little people, and as adults, sometimes if you don't like things, you just don't like it. However, try it. I do encourage trying it. Just try it first because sometimes things look different to children texture wise, and they just don't want to, but at least try it. And then I just move from there. But smoothies are one of the ways that I incorporate fruits and veggies for some of my picky eaters.
That's great. That's a great point. They say that it can take up to 26 or more times for a child to try something new for them to determine if they like it or not. So it's a lot of tries, but I think it's worthwhile, and they can just try it and not have to eat it all if they don't want to. And she also has a question on how can we encourage students to explore and enjoy a wider variety of healthy foods. And I think that really speaks a lot to the Farm to ECE initiative and helps kind of provide a wider variation of foods. Do you have anything to add, Karen or Domo?
I would go off of Damo's suggestion of smoothies, showing them how you can put it together and fix it, different ways of fixing them. Like Damo has the gardening, watching it grow and picking it straight from the garden. That's the kids just are fascinated by that. Wash it off and let them try it.
Also, I'm not for sure if you guys, everybody doesn't use social media. However, Instagram, sometimes if you type in a small hashtag, like healthy food for children, you may use that prompt and little videos and things will come up. So they have different ways. For example, you can make cupcakes using cocoa powder and different like substitutes. Instead of using chocolate, you could use fruit and it'll turn into a cupcake. Different ways that you can make banana pancakes using raw fruits and vegetables and different things of that sort, using agave, honey instead of sugar. So it's a lot of different alternatives that you could utilize as well to incorporate into your meals that are raw fruits and vegetables. And it tastes just as good. Sometimes it's different for children. Sometimes it is not. Sometimes you just have to dress it up a little bit, maybe make a character, bring a little happy face on the banana pancakes, incorporate more fruits, veggies, and vegetables, maybe incorporate some type of dips. Hey, if you need ranch with your carrot, so be it. At least you're eating them. So, just different ways to kind of do things. But that's one tip that you could utilize as well.
Great. Thank you both for sharing. Okay, before we wrap up today, we will go ahead and share the poll results from earlier. So I'll see if we're able to pull that up.
It should be sharing. Are you all seeing the poll results?
I don't see anything.
No.
All right. Well, we'll share these results in our follow-up email, but I can just verbally share. It seemed like the first question, interest in participating in small breakouts. We had about 30% for each response. So yes, no, and maybe. So we're pretty even across the board. For topics that we'd all like to see for our next community of practice call, our top response was building relationships with local farmers at 30%. And the next most popular was garden maintenance. And then which stage that we're all at with our Farm to ECE program. The highest amount we're in the learning stage. So that's really exciting. That means that we're all gathering information and here to start something exciting up. And the next popular response was planning. So yeah, thank you everyone for participating in that.
Wonderful. Okay, well, thank you all for joining us today. Stay tuned for more announcements of when we're hosting our next webinar in a few months. And I hope you have a great evening. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Good night.